Hey there, everyone, and welcome to today's World Council of Credit Unions webinar. My name is Liz Stanislawski, and I'm the Director of Communications at World Council. And I'm pleased to welcome you to today's session on cultivating a growth mindset across your organization. Before we get started, please take a moment to select your preferred language using the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. Today's webinar is available in both English and Spanish. A few quick housekeeping notes before we get started. Today's session is being recorded and will be available online following the event. If you have questions during the presentation, please submit them using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. If you hit the ellipses at the More button at the bottom, you can access Q&A. We'll address as many as time allows. Now, today's session will explore how a growth mindset can transform the way credit unions serve their members. We'll look at innovative approaches to deepening rapport, enhancing service delivery, and solving challenges collaboratively with practical tools you can take back to your organization. Now, I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker, Andrew Rosen, President and CEO of Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. Andrew brings a strong perspective on leadership, member service, and organizational culture, and we're grateful to have him with us today to share insights on how credit unions can strengthen loyalty and build a culture of ongoing growth and excellence. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Liz. Hello, everyone. As you can see, I've changed the title of this presentation a little bit because it's more than just rethinking. We look at our transformation in our service delivery and really call it reimagining the entire service delivery model. And it really started with our branches and how we integrate technology into the branches. And I think being from Hawaii, we do it a little bit differently with a spirit of aloha. So what I'll cover today, talk a little bit about Hawaii State Federal Credit Union, who we are, where we come from, and then this journey that we've taken from shifting our model from transactions to more of a counseling and advice model, how we've used technology to help with that shift, and the changes it took with our staff. And really a lot of coordination and orchestration was necessary to make this work. And by no means, we're not done with this journey. It's an ongoing journey. A little bit about myself. I spent about 20 years working in the banking industry before I saw the light and came to Hawaii State Federal Credit Union as president and CEO about 14 years ago. And here's a little video, a short video talking about Hawaii State and who we are.
I'll take it to a place where they don't know your name, but they are all the same. Yeah, their hugs from your flower lace, the brighten up your days. There is not a trace of hate. It's what aloha means. It's what aloha means. Sharing everything, all in harmony. The love of human beings is love.
Okay, so just a little taste of who we are at Hawaii State Federal Credit Union. And we do have a really unique culture here in Hawaii, all about aloha, treating our members with respect, treating them like family. But So very briefly, Hawaii State, we're actually celebrating our 90th anniversary today. We were established in 1936, even before Hawaii was a state. Um, our original name was Hawaii Territorial Employees Federal Credit Union. And then when Hawaii became a state in 1959, we shifted to the state's credit union. We are 3 billion in assets. We have 140,000 members and 15 branches. So we are the state's largest credit union currently. And Hawaii, it's an interesting place because of in the early part of the century, Hawaii was really a plantation culture. We have a very strong credit union movement in Hawaii. We have probably 70% of the population has some kind of relationship with a credit union. We currently have 45 credit unions in the state, and a lot of those formed on the sugarcane plantations in the 30s. So that's Hawaii State. See if I can move this slide. So I think everyone is facing a lot of challenges with the pace of technology and all of the competition that we now face from non-traditional competitors. We've seen this huge disruption in our market. We're seeing competition from big technology companies like Amazon, Apple, and other technology giants. And they've really changed the expectation of our members for speed and convenience. We're also seeing a lot of challenge from fintech, from new technology companies that are coming in and taking pieces of our business, and they're not burdened by the same regulations and the same constraints that we have. They don't have to support and maintain a branch structure, brick and mortar structure, which is very expensive, as you all know. And so they're new competition, and they move quickly and adopt technology very, very quickly. And then finally, we're seeing a breakdown of our business model. A lot of these new competitors are stealing the most profitable parts of our business, disintermediating our business. So a lot of challenges to our traditional model. So I wanted to share this quote because it kind of sums up our attitude towards our members and how we, what our culture is all about. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And it's a quote from the Disney movie Lilo and Stitch. So for us at Hawaii State, that really is our superpower, is treating our members like family. And that served us incredibly well over the years, constantly getting comments from our members about how they feel like they're part of our family, how our branch treats them like family. They know them personally. They know their family members. They know the big events that are happening in their lives. So the challenge that we face, and I think all of us face now, is as the world becomes more digital and our members are transacting with us through whether it's online banking, mobile apps, or other technology, how do you maintain that personal touch? How do you continue to provide that exceptional service through a very impersonal digital channel? So that's the challenge that we faced. And I really, threw this at my leadership team and said, we can adopt the technology. That's easy. But how do we differentiate ourselves through an impersonal digital channel? So I want to share some of the journey that we took in getting there. And again, it's this challenge between bridging two really completely different opposing operational models. The traditional high touch branches with this digital technology that provides ease of use, 24/7 convenience that our members are demanding. But at the same time, we know that our branches and our people is what differentiates us from many larger financial institutions. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this slide because it really talks about the different components of the journey. And the slide makes it look like we figured it all out and implemented it very quickly and professionally. It wasn't. There were a few bumps in the journey, but it started with physical space. And the reality is we kind of fell into this model out of necessity because in Hawaii, real estate is incredibly expensive. And we were having challenges finding space for our traditional branches, which are 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. We just couldn't find good space for new branches. What we did see was there were a lot of smaller spaces available. And so I created a team. We called it our innovation team and asked them, and it came people from team members from all over the credit union, from the branch side, from operations, from technology, marketing. And because our colors are red, we called it the red team. And I asked them to come up with the branch of the future, knowing that space was a premium in Hawaii. And what they came up with was a model that was a much smaller retail footprint, but really leveraged technology to allow us to offer full services in a smaller footprint. And one of the most important things was in our current and the legacy model, the teller counters act as a physical barrier. They separate our staff from the members, and we wanted to break down that barrier. So the reimagined branch is a much more open layout, much more welcoming design, and it really encourages engagement and interaction between our staff and the member. Now, it wasn't without some challenges. Many of our members said they liked the simplicity of a queue lining up in front of the teller counter. They knew exactly where to go in the branch. And until we trained our staff and taught them the choreography of the new layout, we did have a lot of challenges managing expectations. So the staff role played a really critical part. In the legacy model, the old model, the staff really focused on routine transaction processing, sitting at the counter, waiting for the members to come up, depositing checks for them, making withdrawals, handling simple routine transactions, which we all know those members could do those transactions online, and in some cases through ATMs. But they chose to come to the branch, and we wanted to respect that decision to come to the branch. And again, part of why they came to the branch is because they enjoyed the interaction. They enjoyed the personal attention. So we didn't want to lose that. But really, it was about training the staff. Number one, how do you operate? What's the choreography of this new, much more open branch design where you can't hide behind a teller counter? The role is to come out and greet the member and assist the member. The technology placement, that was really key as well. We visited dozens and dozens of credit unions and banks across the country, across the US, and also in other countries, and looked at how they were integrating technology into their branches. And the reality is, I think many of them were not doing it well. What we saw were a lot of institutions were isolating the technology, putting it in a separate corner of the branch, or even putting it in a separate vestibule of the branch, rather than integrating it into the branch. And in some cases, it's actually physically outside the branch. What we realized is we wanted to hold our members' hands as we introduced this new technology and make sure that they were comfortable with it. So we partnered with Yosung uh, and replaced many of our ATMs, all of our ATMs now, with interactive teller machines or ITMs. But we also integrated them centrally into the branch design, into the floor plan. I mentioned also real estate. That was a component. And part of this was driven again by the need to look at smaller footprints, smaller retail footprints that are more affordable and actually require fewer staff members to staff a smaller branch footprint. Um, we also started to look at in-store branches in Safeway supermarkets. For a long time, those supermarket branches were monopolized by one of the banks in our market. As they started to downsize their branch network, we took advantage of the availability of those locations in supermarkets and took over some of them. But we realized we wanted to do it differently. We've seen a lot of financial institutions go into supermarkets, and those branches really become transaction centers where their customers are cashing checks, and many times non-customers are cashing checks. And again, doing those routine transactions. We wanted these in-store branches to be much more interactive. We wanted them to be a place to um, introduce the credit union to people who might not know they were eligible to join the credit union, to open new memberships, to open new accounts, and to really help our members with their financial challenges. So we came up with some new designs, and I'll show you some of those designs. And then again, the biggest component was the member impact in all of this. As I said, it did create some discomfort with some of our members. But over time, we've started to see we've developed much deeper relationships with our members because we freed up the tellers to really provide more financial advice and counseling and to help teach members how to use this new technology. So here's a picture of one of our branches, a Kaimaki branch before the transformation. And you can see traditional teller line, barriers showing where members should line up, where they should queue up, and a physical separation between the staff and the member. Still very friendly. One of the things I hear from our members all the time, they love it, is they walk in the door of the branch, our staff will say hello and call them by their names. They know their names. They know them personally. This is the new Kaimaki branch after the transformation. So much more open. And then you can see the ITMs are front and center. We still have a teller pod, but not so much of a barrier between the staff and the members. It's very open, so the staff can come out and greet the members. And we actually really flipped the whole branch layout. You can't see it in this picture, but this is really the front part of the branch. The teller line in the past was way at the back of the branch. The back of the branch is now reserved for private offices, for members that want a little bit more privacy. They're talking about applying for loans or financial advice. So we've created a much more open footprint. And again, the choreography of this, it took some time to train our staff, but the idea is for the staff to come out and meet the member, talk to them about whether they want to use the new technology, the ITM, or if they prefer, they can still go to the teller window and have a more traditional transaction with a teller. Another example of how we integrated this technology into a more traditional branch. So you can see in this picture the teller pod, and we've updated all of our teller counters to be much more open, what we call teller pods. So the staff is not trapped behind a teller counter, but can come out and work side by side with the member. And then the teller pod on the right, we've integrated an ITM, and we actually designed these fixtures custom designed so we could put the ITM technology right there side by side with our staff. So you can see actually if the branch is really busy, the teller pod on the right can actually handle 2 transactions at once. You can have a member using the ITM, and you can have a member talking to the teller on the right-hand side of the teller pod. If the member is using the ITM and they have trouble, the staff member can actually see the transaction on their monitor and can help the member get through any problems they're having. But the idea was we designed this so there would always be a staff member right there adjacent to the technology. And one of the inspirations for this design was, if many of you, if you go to any modern airport now, a lot of the old counters with the airline agents have been replaced with kiosks, with electronic kiosks. And I know for me, one of the most frustrating things was waiting in line, getting to the kiosk, and then not being able to check in or to figure out the kiosk. In some cases, the airlines have solved that by having staff there to help walk you through. And that was the concept, was to always make sure we had staff who could teach the member how to use the technology. One of the challenges that we had in some of our branches was when we did not adequately train the staff on the ITMs or the technology, the members could tell. If the staff was not comfortable with the new technology, it was really difficult to get the members comfortable. So a lot of training for our staff on how to use the ITMs, all the functionality. And the ITMs actually can do 95% of what a traditional teller can do. The other advantage that we saw from this was since the COVID pandemic, we have had higher turnover in our branch staff, especially entry-level staff. And as all of you know, it takes a lot of time and energy and resources to train branch staff. It's a tough job. And one of the things we found was training new employees to use the ITMs was actually a lot quicker and easier than training employees to use our core banking system. So that's helped us get new employees up to speed quickly and allows us to get people serving members faster. So this is a floor plan of actually, this is our main branch. So this is a much larger branch. It's in our headquarters building. And I should add, if we go back a second to these branch footprints using the new technology are, as I mentioned, a lot smaller. And I'll show some examples of that in a minute. But this is a footprint from our headquarters branch. And one of the things that we did was in training our staff on this new model, a much more open branching model, was created specific zones in the branch and taught the staff how to interact with members in each zone. So here with this larger branch, you can see zone 1 is really a welcoming area. We have a desk for a concierge, although all of our staff take turns when they're not busy at that concierge desk, or really just working in the lobby, welcoming members and figuring out what kind of help they need. And if they're open to using the new technology, the ITMs. Zone 2A shows, and again, right in the middle of the branch, the ITM technology. And in every one of our branches, even the ones with the ITMs, we still have traditional tellers, and that's zone 2B. But we've purposely put them in the back, in the corner of the branch, because we really want our members to try the new technology. We always want to give them the choice, but make sure they see the technology and see how other people are using it. And what we found is over time, members who we've taught to use the ITMs will come into the branch, say they don't need any help, and they'll immediately go to an open ITM. Zone 3 in the branch is where we do more of our one-to-one meeting with members. We have private offices, enclosed offices where the members do have a lot of privacy to have more in-depth conversations about whether they're applying for loans or financial planning. So that gives them privacy and space to have those much deeper personal interactions with our members. So that shows the choreography, the layout of the branch. Here's some pictures of that main branch in our headquarters, which we built about 3 years ago. So you can see this is from the front door of the lobby. You see the concierge desk, the ITMs, and you can't really see the traditional tellers. They're hidden in the back there. This shows the ITM bank, and again, you can see it's designed so we will always have a staff member stationed at the ITMs to help members to teach them. And then you can see the teller counter is behind there in the back. And then this photo is showing the private offices, and then also these tables are what we call an interactive center. And this is where we can sit down with members, open new accounts. But the other thing that we really have focused on in our branches now is teaching our members how to use not just the ITM technology, but also our mobile banking. And so not only can they open new accounts here, and you can see we have these little touch screens on the tables, so we can show members all the options of different account options. Hey, I see Jamaica. Hello, Jamaica. But we can also help enroll them in our mobile banking and get them set up right away as soon as they open their accounts. So really working to teach members that they have options. Again, we love seeing them in the branches, but the goal is really to allow the branch staff to spend less time on routine transactions and much more time working with the member, helping them with longer term financial challenges, whether it's financial planning for their future, helping them to qualify and apply for loans, working on improving their credit score, their credit profile. So that really is the model here. And again, it's a journey. We're getting there. We're not 100% of the way there. So one of the other things I mentioned, we saw as we moved to this model and with the technology allowing us to set up branches in much smaller retail footprints, we took advantage of some openings in the grocery stores, the Safeway stores in our market. So the benefits there is that these are much smaller footprints, requires fewer staff to manage the branch. And then the other advantage is the grocery stores are very high traffic, and a lot of the people in the stores are not our existing members. So we have a whole new audience of people who get to see our branch every time they come to the grocery store and do their shopping. So we have the high foot traffic. The model there is very different from the model that many banks have employed with in-store branches. We're trying to encourage the members to use the technology, to use the ITMs for the simple transactions, and that frees up the staff to help open new member accounts, help the members apply for loans, or do financial planning. So I'll show you a few pictures of these in-store branches. Very, very different model than a traditional in-store branch, which was really just a counter, a teller line. Again, this branch is much more open, much more welcoming. This is our Kihei branch on the island of Maui. This branch is 420 square feet, so much, much smaller than any of our freestanding branches. You can see we have the ITMs on the left, and then the way we've designed it, we actually have 3, you could argue even 4 areas where we can sit down with members and provide financial counseling. One is an enclosed space for more privacy. We have 2 small desktop tabletops on either side of the enclosed and one up front. Here's another example. This is our newest in-store branch at the Waikele grocery store. Again, same model, 2 ITM machines, which are available 24/7 for our members. One enclosed meeting space. Yes, and I see a question. The enclosed meeting spaces are soundproof. It's glass, and it is covered. And then the other meeting spaces are more open, but there is a lot of privacy there, despite being in the middle of a busy supermarket. This one is also 420 square feet, so much smaller footprint. Our in-store branches, they range from, on the smallest side, 250 square feet, which is smaller than some people's closets, to this 420 square feet. So again, I mentioned that the biggest challenge here was really working with the staff, changing our staff training model. From working the traditional teller model, waiting behind the counter, and to be honest, not all of our staff liked the new model, liked the new approach, because it really required them to be much more engaged with the member, to come out from behind that counter, welcome the member when they came in. We had a lot of, initially, before we did some good training, we had staff that kind of wandered around the branch, didn't quite know what they were supposed to be doing. But over time, by hiring the right people or training people, encouraging them to really be a lot more welcoming and share that Hawaii aloha spirit, we now have much more engagement with our members than we ever did before. And again, the technology has allowed the staff, has freed up their time so that they can spend more time, whether it's just talking to the members about how their day is going, their life, their family, or helping them with bigger financial challenges. Just to share some of the usage. So these are 4 of the branches where we've introduced this ITM technology. And you can see that we've shifted from 100% of the transactions in the branch happening at the teller line to now the majority of them happening with the ITMs. And then actually also now, initially when we introduced the ITMs, they were not 24/7. Now we have a lot of our members who are taking advantage of the fact that the grocery stores are open 24/7 and coming in and using the ITM after hours when our staff are no longer there. Here's just a simple breakdown showing the percentage of transactions that are being conducted by the tellers in the branch, the ITMs, and then the green line shows ITMs after hours, which you can see we didn't offer that until April of last year, but immediately started to now about 50% of all of our transactions in our branches are going through the ITMs. And the amazing thing is that our members, again, we had some pushback from members, primarily when we took traditional branches that had the teller lines and integrated or renovated them and added the ITM technology. So members were used to a traditional model, and then we brought in the new technology. So we had some friction there. We had some complaints from members who just said it felt very impersonal. They didn't like the open layout. But the majority of the feedback from our members has been extremely positive. Again, they love the fact that the staff is there. They're there to teach them to use the technology. And if the member prefers, again, they can go to the teller pod and work with a traditional teller model, although they may have to wait a little bit for that teller. So you can see some of these comments. And then we do a lot measuring net promoter scores, measuring member satisfaction, customer effort score. And in every single one of our branches, even the traditional branches that have transformed to this new open model with the ITM technology, we get much higher net promoter scores from our members that are using the ITMs. Again, not everyone is happy with the new model, but overall, the majority of our members are. And what I really love is, again, it's freed up our staff to provide more high value service to our members, which is something they can't get online, something they can't get through a digital interaction. So overall, in summary, I feel like the ITMs and our mobile app, we're not done, but we've begun this journey of personalizing the integration of technology into our service model. We've done it in a way where we're holding our members' hands as they learn the new technology and making sure we're always there for them. A big focus for us now is creating that same level of personalization with our mobile app. Part of it starts with, again, helping the member who may not be comfortable with the mobile technology, helping them sign up in the branch one-to-one, having our staff teach them how to use it. But then after that, we still need to make sure that we're providing that same exceptional service, treating our members like Ohana, like family, and not leaving anyone behind. So I did see some questions popping up in the chat, but let's see. Would love to take some questions.
Yeah, Andrew, I'm happy to kind of sift through some of these questions, and so you don't have to kind of play double duty
Okay,
here.
great. Thanks, Liz.
So yeah, it seems like we've had quite a few questions come in about the ITM. One of them is, how do you provide privacy at the ITM being located in the branch?
Yeah, that's a great question. And initially, we did get a lot of pushback or some pushback from members who just didn't feel like the ITMs provided privacy. So one of the things is just making sure that if there is a queue for the ITMs, that people aren't looking over the user's shoulder. And let me jump back to some pictures of the ITMs, because the way they are designed, the screen is actually these ITMs, the screen is horizontal, but they do have privacy screens on them. So unless you're standing directly in front of the ITM, you cannot see what's on the screen. These other ITMs has both a screen, the top screen, but the transactions and any personal information is on the horizontal screen that you see there. So there really is a lot of privacy. And again, as part of it is making sure that people are, when they're queuing, that there is some space between them and the ITM. Some people who are just not comfortable, they don't feel it's private. And again, we're always giving them the option of talking with and working with a traditional teller.
Hmm. Um, have you utilized any video teller capabilities, or are they just ITMs?
So that's a really good question. We have a credit union in our market that's used video tellers. And these ITMs do have the capability. You can provide video teller contact with them. But we made a very conscious decision not to have video tellers. And again, the reason was I wanted our staff to be there um, working side by side with the member and teaching them how to use the technology. I felt that if a member is taking the time to come into the branch, they didn't want to talk to somebody on a video screen. Now, that's during branch hours. After hours, the ITMs are still available. And while we haven't connected video tellers, that may be a way when our traditional branch, when the branch is closed, the staff is not there. In the future, we may look at providing video connection so that there is someone who can, again, hold the member's hand as they're using the new technology.
Mhm. We have a question. Do you guys still have unmanned ATMs, ITMs, or are they all in the branch?
We do have some, we've actually now replaced all of our traditional ATMs with ITMs. And the benefit of that is, again, it can do a lot more than an ATM. 95% of what a teller can do, those transactions can all be conducted at the ITM. The majority of them are in the branches, but we do have for after hours some vestibules with ITMs. And again, as you saw from some of the statistics, we are seeing a lot of our members are taking advantage of those ITMs after hours.
Great. Moving away from the ITMs, although we've gotten a lot of questions about those. We have a question about your staff. Are some of them or all of them certified credit union financial counselors?
Great question. Not all of them are, but we are moving to have much more of our staff as certified financial counselors. And what we've seen has been just really incredible, where as we've moved a lot of the routine daily, the transactions, the simple transactions to the ITMs, we freed up a lot of time for our staff. And so we want to make sure that they are trained to have those financial discussions. So we have some who are getting certified, but also we have some that are now taking their financial advisor and investment training and getting certified there, so they can go even further in providing financial advice and counseling to our members.
Great. A question coming in about lending. What does lending look like for your institution, and how did this impact your loan volume?
Lending. Well, we do have do some business lending. In our branches, it's traditional lending model. We offer all types of consumer loans, auto loans, credit cards, personal loans, personal lines of credit, home equity loans, and mortgages. Again, what we've seen with this transition is that our staff just has more time to work with members on talking to them about their financial needs. Typically you'll have a member who will come in, they'll apply for a loan, and they may be declined. What our staff now has time to sit down with that member and say, okay, let's look at why you were declined and what can we do to help improve your credit or consolidate debts. or help you pay down some of your debts so that you'd qualify not just for the loan, the auto loan that you might want today, but longer term, perhaps buying your first home. And that's really the goal. That's the level of financial counseling and advice that I believe is going to allow us to compete with online competitors in the future.
Great. Do you mind going over what your traditional branch manager day-to-day role would be, and maybe going over your security for these open concepts?
Yeah, great question. Typically, we encourage our branch managers to start the day with their staff with a daily huddle. Um, they will get the team ready. Um, a lot of what the branch staff, again, it was a huge transition for them because they're no longer just sitting behind the teller line. They're out in the lobbies. They have tablets or sometimes laptops that they can carry with them to help members open new accounts. Branch manager really orchestrating this, making sure that the staff understands the choreography, making sure, and it does get challenging when the branch is busier, making sure that there's always someone who can act as that concierge or greeter. So I'd really say the shift has been the branch manager is less operational and more, I'd call it like a conductor of an orchestra, making sure that the choreography is flowing the way it should. They're also, handling exceptions, when overseeing the tellers, making sure if there's transactions that are above or beyond their limits, approving those. But again, it's also freed up the branch manager to do a lot more just one-on-one meeting with members.
Great. Another person has a question about your staffing numbers. Have they remained consistent during your transition from traditional to ITMs and personal banking model? And about how many people typically staff one of your grocery store installations?
Great question. One of the things I was committed to was I was very clear. Initially, when we started to introduce the ITMs and new technology, the branch was afraid, and we even got some comments from members. Are you bringing these in to replace the tellers? Are you bringing them in to replace the people? And that was not the intention at all. Although I think I mentioned since COVID, we have had more turnover in the branches. It's been more challenging to hire people, especially for the entry level jobs. So we have the ITMs have allowed us to run the branches with fewer people, but we were able to achieve that just through natural attrition. Um, the other thing that we've seen, and again, we haven't completed this journey, but my goal is with fewer people in the branches, and the expectation is that they're playing a very different role, that we can now pay them more than we could an entry level teller. They're doing much more complex financial counseling and advice. And so we can afford to compensate them more, which improves retention, which improves the member loyalty, the fact that they know the members. The in-store branches, typically staffed with 3 to 7 staff members. They can operate with 3, 5 is ideal.
Okay, I think that might lead into this other question, but it's a question about the locations that are still inside a business. Do you still have the opportunity to sit down and open an account with a new or potential member?
I assume that's referring to the in-store, the supermarket branches. Yeah, and again, as you can see from going the wrong way, the model, we do have separate meeting areas. And so we actually our in-store locations are actually bringing in more new members than some of our larger traditional branches. Again, you have a lot of people, a lot of foot traffic through the Safeway stores. And we tried to design them so there would be some privacy. Now, obviously, the desks that are not inside the glass enclosure, it's not complete privacy, but enough to sit down with a member and open a new account. It gives them a sense of they're separate from um, all the rush and the traffic in the supermarket.
Great. Another question we have is, have you evaluated results in terms of increased services and therefore revenues?
What we have seen is a lot more new members, new memberships coming from the in-store branches. And we've seen that in all of our branches with the ITM technology, higher net promoter scores. Um, in terms of increased revenue, we do a pretty good job building the relationships with members, but always a challenge. Um, so I think there's still a little bit more work to do there.
All right, great. I think we've hit most all of the questions that have come in. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before I sign us off for the day?
Um, just thanks for the opportunity to share. I think we've been really excited about this ability to integrate new technology and do it with the personal touch, with the spirit of aloha. Um, Again, we had some stumbles along the way, but overall, our members have been really positive. It's allowed us to, as I said, provide better compensation for our branch employees, um, increase retention and tenure for our branch employees. Um, and we're excited about this, and hopefully continue to see success on this journey of integrating technology with the Aloha spirit.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. We're getting a lot of comments coming in saying that this was a wonderful presentation and they really appreciate you sharing your experience. So,
Yeah. The other thing I should add is we have done lots of tours of our branches to other credit unions, not just here in Hawaii, but from all over the country and the world. So if anyone's interested, we're always happy to share the Aloha spirit and show you uh, what it really looks like. And it's not a hard sell to convince someone to come to Hawaii to visit. So
I can
please,
imagine. I'm already jealous knowing you're there.
we love having visitors. So.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for sharing your perspective with our global credit union community. And speaking of the global credit union community, there is still time to register for our 2026 World Credit Union Conference happening in Sydney, Australia from July 19th through July 22nd. So you can join more than 4,200 of your peers for several days of learning, networking, and collaboration around the issues shaping the future of the movement. We'd love to see you there. And as a reminder, today's webinar has been recorded and it will be available online on our YouTube channel following the event. So that concludes today's webinar. Thank you again for joining us, and everyone have a great rest of your day.